Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to Mahogany Sweets. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you want to, you know what I'm saying? I need to come talk to y'all. I know I'm late and behind, and y'all probably don't care to hear what I had to say, no way, but here I am with it, right? It's a few videos I need to make concerning this Joe Budden situation, right? I'm going to make the one about Rory and Maul's response. I'm going to make the one about Joe Budden response to that and what I think is going on. But right now, I want to talk about the Olivia dope situation. See the Thing Is podcast that is sponsored, that is owned by the Joe Budden network, Joe Budden himself. And what's the other young lady's names? I think it's like Mandy, and the other one is Kelly. Bridget, right? Okay, so Olivia Dope came out and she exposed Joe Budden Network for inappropriate behavior, sexual harassment, sexual advances, like all of that kind of stuff, right? And I go on Twitter, and y'all response is y'all were coming after Bridget Kelly, as well as, what's her name, Mandy, for supposedly not speaking up for Olivia Dope. And I felt that y'all were totally out of line. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay, you have Olivia Dope, who finally, or should I say, yeah, I'm not going to say finally, who has come forth with her story of her experience there on the Joe Budden network. But she gave us pointers of what episode she was talking about. She even gave us timestamps. And we all were able to visibly see what had taken place ourselves, right? But in that situation, Olivia Dope was uncomfortable and did not even speak up for herself. So why are y'all attacking Bridget Kelly and Mandy for being in the same room and not speaking up for something that wasn't even being done to them? And you have to look at the fact that if Olivia Dope was in an uncomfortable situation with that happening to her herself, I'm quite sure those ladies possibly were uncomfortable as well watching it happen. So if it shocked Olivia Dope and muffled her voice, why can't that be the same case for those two ladies? Normally when a woman is in that situation, which we all have been, like, this is not a new, us women constantly have to deal with this in a workplace, have to deal with this amongst just being out in society, being around guys. It don't even have to be a work environment, it don't have to be a superior. It's where sexual innuendos, advancements and stuff are made to us. Now, I don't think that there's any problem with a man making his attraction or desires to court a woman known to her, right? How else does the door open for dating and things like that? The reason why it's a problem in the workplace, for example, this situation with Olivia Dope, Bridget Kelly, and Mandy, is because when it's your boss, the person who is your employer or can change your employment, should I say, right, making the advancements, now it's attached to your paycheck, and you can feel pressure to, put your head down, go along to get along, so you don't lose your job, because now you feel like you're in a situation, if I ignore this person, not ignore, that's not the word I want to use, because that's normally what we do to be in a safe place. If I shut down and reject this person's advancements towards me, I can now lose my job, my paycheck, right? And yes, we can all go get other jobs. I'm one who have felt like that, but I actually experienced this exact situation where I dealt with what I see as the disrespect, the sexual advances, the guy even got to the point to where he was letting it be known, like, no, you working here because I like you and want you here, right? So I was in a rock and a hard place. I'm actually still trying to recover from that, because I'm gonna tell you the decision that I made. But I had a son, right? I'm a single mother, struggling. I don't got Section 8 and stuff like that. Like, I am the one who has to pay it all. My utilities, our rent, our hygiene products, our household items, the gas in my car, all of that, I'm responsible for. Food and stuff. So when the guy was making those advances, it was more so like, you giggle off, or you might say like a little quick witty response back, like, yeah, whatever, like, you can't have me go on, this is that, other stuff like that, right? In my situation, the guy's wife even worked there, which made me even more uncomfortable, because it's a whole lot that can go on with that, right? Well, when he got physical with me, that's when I decided, like, no, I'm not dealing with this shit. I don't care. Had already started looking for another job, but you can't just get a job overnight just because you want to, or just because where you're at is not treating you properly and stuff like that. So I didn't have another job yet. And once he had got physical with me, which he had told me he needed me to come and take inventory for produce, because I was working at a grocery store. I did stuff like make the prices for products that we had in stock. If it was sale came on, I'm the one who did the prices in the computer for the sale, you know, to put that price in for how long it's supposed to be and all of that type of stuff. So he wanted me to come, which produce I actually, as they set it up, did not do. But anyway, he told me, like, here, come back to the produce room. I want you to do some inventory, this, that, and the other. I go back there with him. I walk into the room, right? I'm in front of him because he's so caught being a gentleman. He's like, okay, here. He opened the door. You go ahead and go in. So I go in, and then I go to talk to him. Next thing I know, lights go out. I turn around, and he kisses me and grabs me, starts trying to grope me. I push him the hell off. I was like, no, push him the hell off. And after then, I was like, oh, no, it's a wrap. I was upset even with myself for not speaking up sooner to totally shut him down. Like, look, okay, you making these innuendos and my job is on the line. I really don't care. Stop making advancements at me and stuff. He would do stuff like had a manager schedule me when he was at work, and so we had the same off days, and he would be blowing up my phone on off days. So come on, here, I want to take you to lunch. And I'm like, no, stuff like that. So anyway, I was even upset with myself, thinking like, if I would have totally shut him down beforehand, maybe it never even would have got to that point where I physically was violated and upset and all of that. But I quit that day. The manager, as I was walking out, and told her, because she knew what was going on, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't work here anymore. And she was trying to talk me down, like, no, don't let him mess up your check. Like, I'm being harassed constantly. You know what I'm saying? He's making me work on his shifts. He's having you schedule me on his shifts. But anyway, so I left, and I was broke. I ended up facing eviction because of that. Like, a lot of stuff went wrong because of that. So I look at these young ladies. Olivia Dope is in that same situation now where her boss is making advancements at her. She's not interested, or she feels uncomfortable about it. And she did not speak up at that time. It could have been a plethora of reasons, possibly even just being caught completely off guard. But I'm going to get into that video, that episode, and break down, because there was a lot more going on than just that. Bridget Kelly and Mandy could have also felt uncomfortable and shocked to where it muffled their voices, like, how am I going to come up and jump into the mist between what's going on with my boss and another employee when I'm not in the position, don't have the power to technically even do that. This isn't concerning me. So they could have felt some fear as well. So I feel y'all wrong for trying to hold them other two accountable for what Olivia Dope didn't even do for herself, which was stand up, speak up, and say, look, you're out of line, stop it, shut it up. But now let me get into breaking down the video. The episode opens up with Mandy exposing a personal group chat between these ladies, right? Because what I looked at is them two, with what they were saying, they were pointing the finger at Olivia Dope, right? Basically trying to say that the words that they were using and what they were saying was basically that she was weak. They wanted to make it known that she had issues with things that was going on, that she was trying to form a union between them, of them figuring something out, and they put her on Front Street and exposed all of that. So, first off, them two chicks was wrong for that. And what I looked at further was, not only were they basically attacking her and exposing her, I think they was using her as their own shield to put it on her for ways that they even felt themselves, right? So they chose that time and place on air while Joe and other people in the midst to bring up what they talking about. Our group chat is a personal, private, safe space for us ladies to discuss this. How? When you two hoes, Mandy and Bridget Kelly, are exposing everything that's supposed to be in this personal safe group chat. It's not personal and safe then if y'all bringing it to air. Not even just on air, but bringing it in front of the boss, right? So, with them two ladies threw it off on her. They were basically taking jabs at her, specifically Mandy was, right? Because even at the end, if you pay attention, Mandy even took it back to this personal group chat and wanted to say, basically, Mandy was playing a position of, Joe, I want to expose this. I want you to know, but I'm more superior than these hoes. I can handle and get with this. I know what I'm doing. I should be the head chick in charge. That's what her role was, and that's what she was trying to do. And she was belittling Olivia Dope while she was doing it. So Olivia is now already in a situation where my two co-workers, counterparts, who I'm supposed to be in this with together, are now exposing me in front of everyone, and probably also even pitting even more on her. And then we have one of them, Bridget Kelly, even using me as a shield to expose what I said, because she don't want to speak up and too scared to even say herself the problems that she had with the Joe Budden Network, or how Joe was running things, right? So Bridget went and threw in a little bit of, what did she say? Yeah, you weren't being in contact with me. But then, as you see, Mandy was the one who kept coming in his defense. Since I've been here, Charlamagne, I've only spoke to him once. Joe Budden, no, this how network run. Joe, I've been trying to tell him. She's the kiss ass, right? That's what she was doing, being a pick-me of the group. Bridget was trying to be safe under that pick-me umbrella with Mandy. But also in exposing, what's that chick name? Olivia Dope. But then she also actually backed most of the things that Olivia Dope had to say. Like I said, using her as a shield and exposing her to be the first one up there. They got to take the arrows of shots. So they threw her under the bus. That's what was happening. Now, that energy, and you could tell how that made Olivia feel. Like, what the heck is these hoes doing? Right? She peeps game. So now she's feeling uncomfortable because now I'm dealing with my I already have an issue with the network and how certain things are being done. But now my two co-workers who I've talked with this about are now exposing me and throwing me under the bus, which brought Joe into the room, right? This is Joe's baby, right? He's proud of it. You know, he's patting himself on the back. He wants the best for it and stuff like that. And they're on air discussing their grievances with the Joe Budden Network and Joe Budden. Because if you say Joe Budden Network, Joe Budden is going to look at that as you talking about him. If you say Joe Budden, that's going to be perceived as Joe Budden Network. So it's all intermingled for Joe Budden, and his ears get up. They wanted him to hear. That's why they waited till they was there to have this conversation in person with her on air. And why, you know, they wanted him to hear, and he did, and he came. He's going to come in the room. As far as he felt, I believe Joe felt attacked, which is why he was making a bit of jabs directed towards who? The one that Bridget Kelly and Mandy threw under the bus, because they're trying to say this is her mouth speaking, not ours. And Mandy specifically was like, I don't back this at all. I've been trying to teach and coach this chick, right? So Joe comes in, and his emotions is heightened because he's feeling like he's under attack, and his Joe Budden Network is under attack. He directs it towards Olivia Dope. So we have that. And then in there, yes, Joe made like a flirtation statement, which I'm not excusing his behavior. But in a couple of instances of things that he said, that was just like, what do you call it? Just like jibber jabber, you know, trying to make the room light. So I think he himself was kind of in an uncomfortable situation. I think he himself, just like Olivia Dope, felt under attack. I believe Olivia Dope initially felt under attack by her two castmates. And then it led on to Joe Budden, because Joe Budden felt attacked by her, the two other women pointing at her. So his defenses was up. And that's when it became. So now I think the reason why she left was more than just Joe Budden and that interaction on that episode with him. I believe it was them chicks. They show her then, oh, I'm not safe with y'all. And y'all already ganging up on me. Y'all already exposing me. Y'all already willing to throw me under the bus. It's a 2 against 1. Puts her in an awkward situation. I don't want to deal with that, because now I'm sitting between two enemies, basically. My co-workers and the boss, who they just put a target on my back for. Right? I believe a couple of the things Joe said was innocent enough and just lighthearted, trying to make the room less tense through jokes. I believe that he also did initially, and maybe even a little bit later on, still felt, depending on what they were saying, well, we know what they were talking about, felt under attack, so he attacked back. He felt Olivia is attacking me and my network. I'm going to make some attacks back. So I believe he's been disrespectful and inappropriate. And he showed us how it was. I'm telling you, because when he talk to the whole room of all three of them. No, he was initially upset and on the defense with all three of them. But as I stated, them two kept throwing her under the bus. So he directed that attention to her. Now, when you got to him going in for the hug, right? He goes in for the hug, and first off, he was not going in this direction when he was hugging her. He was moving his body side to side like that, right? And it lasted for maybe 2 seconds, him hugging her like that, would swing his hips side to side, and then stopping for a hug. And that was also still him trying to make light of the situation, him being uncomfortable too, but trying to ease things, make a truce, show his support and apologize. So I think that a couple of the things, some people are misconstruing it, right? Pitting 10 on 5. But the other thing is things that were taken out of what she said, he said, the original, and then a couple of things that were left in, yes, were totally inappropriate for a boss, a head of a network, to say to an employee. There is no excuse for that. And Mandy, she want to talk about what's normally going on and what's common in a workplace. We all know what normally goes on and what's common in there. That doesn't make it normal. That doesn't make it okay just because it has been going on for years and it's common amongst people. Behaviors. Us women, in some instances, because it's, how do I explain this? When it comes to a boss, just don't do it. If you are a male and you are a boss, do not try and date your coworkers. Don't try and flirt with them. Don't make inappropriate comments to them. Don't make sexual advances to them. Okay, you want to give them a compliment. Hey, you looking beautiful today. Oh, you fine. That I kind of feel is okay. I'm sorry. I kind of feel that little, back and forth for jabber is okay. But when you get to being a boss and employer and you are aggressively making sexual comments to your employees, your subjects, or when you upset in your emotions, you're making attacks towards your subjects, your employees, it's totally out of line, because your personal emotions and feelings should not show up in a workplace, should not change the fact whether if they're employed, unemployed, how they're treated, any of that. Because it's based on their job, them performing that job, and that's all that matters. Are they doing their job? Are they doing it well? How you feel personally should not matter. Your grievances, if personality traits, any of that type of stuff, or like, for example, her bringing up her grievances, which actually she ain't the one who brought them up. Other people did for her, which was inappropriate. Regardless of you being offended, you have to keep your own emotions in check and can't be mad. People, if you run in a business, your employees should be able to come to you and say, look, I'm not liking how this is being done. And then you let them know, whether that's something not out of emotion, not feeling attacked. You got to be mature and look at it, okay, is this something that, right, is inappropriate, is immature, could be considered being aggressive, being threatening, being harassment or inappropriate towards them. I gotta eat that. I can't get in my feelings, get offended, and now try to attack them during their job, belittle them, talk down to them just because they didn't accept my advancements at them, because you shouldn't be doing that anyway, or just because they have a grievance in how this business is being run. And if it's something that they have a grievance with, but that's just your policy or business, then right, without emotion and all that, you let them know, well, this is our policy, this is how this particular network is ran, and sorry that you don't like it. I hope you can come around, but that's just going to be. And then they have that choice if they want to work or not. Hey, yeah, I'm the boss, and I'm not calling you 24/7. Sorry, it's not going to happen. I don't run my network like that. And then they can choose to accept that, or they can walk. But to attack them if they come and not stroking your ego, if they're not just, so delighted about you and everything you do and how you're doing it at your network, no, you can't attack them for that. Because if you're in that workplace where you're going to attack your workers if they make complaints about things, then you should not be a boss. You shouldn't be in that position because you're not ready for it. You're not ready to lead. You're not ready to lead off strategy, focus, self-discipline, and being just logical. You got to remove yourself out of it. What's best for the brand and the business? Are these people what's best for the brand of the business? Then okay, I need to appease them to some degree if it qualifies, and if not, I need to, in a respectful and calmly way, without emotion and feeling defense, explain to them that that's how this is going to be run. And it's that simple. But them two ladies was wrong. They are the ones who set her up for that. They are the ones who threw her under the bus. They should not be trusted. Mandy feels that this is just normal for women to be sexually harassed by their bosses. It's not normal. It's just common. It happens all the time. Yes. Doesn't mean it's okay. Doesn't mean that other women don't got the right to say they got a problem with it just because you feel that it's acceptable and you can deal with it and work through it. But of course, Mandy seems like the type who has been like, okay, yeah, I'm going to use my, if the boss wanted, if this can further me, I'll use it to my advantage. She seems like that type, and which is why she was, well, we don't even know if that's what she was talking about, sexual harassment, when she talked about the lady grievances. It seemed like to me, Olivia Dope, what was in that group chat, was more so possibly Joe's temperament, but I was thinking that it was more so how the network is being run, maybe money, how it's delegated as far as investing in their scenery, the times, if people earlier are not on time. Oh, this was the other thing that I felt was inappropriate. Joe, these women are at work working. You should not be in a room. You shouldn't. You're micromanaging now. You should not be on set. And even if you are going to be on set, you should be a ghost on set while they are live and doing their thing. You should not be all up in the mix. Bosses, I'm sorry to tell you, you should not be mingling with your coworkers like that. Y'all doing a group building exercise, stuff like that, cool. Let them do their job and leave them alone. Other than that, I think so. I feel that was inappropriate. The fact that they're on air and having this conversation, unless it was pre-discussed, like here we're all gonna, this would be good content for us to discuss y'all grievances, the network, how I run it and stuff. Unless that was beforehand agreed to, and y'all all sat down and then did it that way, that would be one thing. Joe was out of line to say, oh, they on air and they talking about Joe Budden back and I'm about to go. Because number one, that's a form of intimidation for them to not be able to speak freely. That's micromanaging their jobs. That is all of that. So I feel that was wrong. And I also believe that's the other thing that made Olivia feel uncomfortable. Like, okay, these hoes done expose this and bring it to the podcast, so now we're talking about it. He's here, and now he doesn't even have the boss mindset to say, I'm not about to jump on air and come and sit down and try and run to my defense. Because I'll just tell you this, if I was at a job and they say, here, we want you guys to tell us your grievances, what you feel could make the network run smoother, because you have jobs that do that. They'll come and say, here, give us suggestions. Sometimes they do it in the Dropbox. Sometimes it's a team meeting and they say, here, what things do you think could make this run better, run smoother? What are things you think need to be changed and stuff? And if the boss came in like Joe did, sitting down like, yeah, let me hear what you got to say, that will shut a person up and make them feel intimidated, like they don't truly have the freedom to come and say a grievance or give a suggestion on what they think can make things better. So I feel that was the beginning of what was wrong for him on his part. The beginning of what was wrong with the whole episode was Mandy and Bridget bringing up that private conversation, pitting Olivia on the spot, on air. That was the beginning of what was wrong, throwing her under the bus. And then the beginning of what he did was wrong, was coming and sitting his ass in there on their time while they're doing their job. Whether it was about that, you could have listened to it and waited till after and went to talk to them. Once you was out of your feelings, once you had time to absorb and process what was said and give it merit or not, and then come up with a productive and strategic and professional way of a boss to say, okay, here, let me now They clocked out now. Now let me have a meeting with them here, ladies. I heard what you guys had to say. I want us to have an open forum. Go ahead and whatever he did here that they knew that they had a problem with, go ahead and address that. Apologize for where apologies need to go. Give correction to what y'all would do differently going forward. And open up the floor for them to go deeper into what they want to express about this new network. And that is a great point that I think I heard somewhere else. This is new for Joe Budden too. He's going to make mistakes. Just like Mandy kept wanting to point out that, oh, I've done a podcast before, you guys haven't, right? So that's new for them. And they have to find a rhythm flow, get an understanding, and learn basically hands-on the job of it. Joe has to do the same. This is new for him. And although he was already doing a podcast, it was with men. So I believe that it's also new for him to have women and attractive women, if he feels that way, under him. So he's still learning as well in this trial and error of how to run a network, how to deal with female staffs, how to deal with complaints. Because, right, you have a million different people with input, with what don't make them happy, how they want to be comfortable. And you have to be level-headed and mature and focused enough to handle like a boss and not in your feelings to address what all is going on, what's all under you, right? So I think that also was a problem. Another thing I wanted to point out is, okay, the ladies had mentioned about being sexy, right? Because some people might feel that, oh, it's inappropriate for him to want them to be sexy, because they kept saying, we ain't showing our breasts every day. We want to be comfortable and all this. This is the thing. And where Joe isn't wrong on that aspect of it, of wanting them to dress sexually and appealing and be attractive. That's every network, right? If you look at newscasters, if you look at commercials, well, not all commercials, but depending on what, because sex sales, depending on what the commercial is about, they're going to even have a sexy. Your TV shows, your all of it, even in the industry, singing, rapping, they want you to be attractive because sex sells. So no, it's not wrong for Joe to be like, here, I don't want you ladies, especially when one Mandy, I believe it was, who admitted that pretty much a large part of their audience is men, right? Men are visual creatures. They want to look at something appealing. That's what's going to draw them in and keep their attention. And so that's not just a Joe Budden network thing. That has been an always thing. Look at every video you've seen. Even look at newscasters. Look at all the... Yes, they want the women to be preferably in shape, right? A certain age range. And they're going to want them to dress in a sexually appealing or explicit way. Because sex is what sells. It is what is even a draw in women. Women, whether they know it or not, no, when you look at TV and you see beautiful women, that's what makes you want to go and do your shopping. That's what makes you want to go and do your makeup, do your hair. That's the men. That's what makes them tune in, because they like looking at pretty things and they like visualizing and fantasizing. So I'm sorry, that part is just the truth of it. And Joe isn't wrong for suggesting that to them and telling them, like, no, I need you guys to be attractive on camera. You're not doing a radio job, right? That's why they have radio. You can look ugly, you can be out of shape, you could be in sweats and a bonnet on radio. No one sees you. And as long as your voice is appealing enough to draw in, that's cool. On TV, it has always been, if you're being seen by the masses, no, you have to look good. You have to look attractive. And it's not just for women, it's for men too. They try and sell sex and tell men, no, we need you in that six-pack. We need you in this scene, dripping oil off you. We want you. It's for men as well. Y'all just probably don't notice it. Look at how many men they have their shirts off. Look how many even, what do you call it, covers of albums and stuff where, no, the guy had his shirt off. He had it opened up. Like, no, sex sales is for men and women. And that's nothing new. And yes, they should not be showing up on camera. That should be a clause in a contract. It normally is. Even at McDonald's, you have a dress code, right? They don't want you in nothing that's too loose. It don't have to be tight. They don't want you in nothing too loose. They want everything tucked in. You get what I'm saying? It's a dress code everywhere you go for what that profession is. And that works the same if you're in media being seen by masses. It's a dress code. And it's one of be appealing. No bonnets, no sweats, no large over hoodies. No, they don't want that. So that's just all I wanted to say about this Olivia Dope. I apologize for what Olivia Dope went through. Joe Budden got a target on him because I believe that Biggs was behind this. Biggs and Jay-Z, that machine was behind it. Joe had already given them the bullet, the gun, right? He had already given them that. No one was paying attention. I believe that Biggs and them just went to go put a spotlight on it and told Olivia Dope, here, go and tell your story. Pay her off a few bands, which I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, right? That is fine. I just personally believe that Biggs and them is behind this because of how Joe did Maul, and I believe that Biggs and Jay-Z never liked it, Joe Budden. But right, he's coming up, he's making a name, cool. Maul is with him. I believe Maul was his protection. And once he has offended, disrespected, and pissed off Maul, Biggs and them was like, oh, it's open season on Joe Budden. Here, we know the perfect thing. You remember that inappropriate stuff in this Me Too climate that he did with Olivia Dope that went under the radar? Let's put eyes to it. Olivia Dope, hit her up. Hey, we got a job for you. Watch, she gonna end up... Of course she will bounce back anyway, right? I'm not saying that she hasn't been doing anything with her career and won't. But watch, she's about to end up... They're gonna reward her for it. And I don't think it's just gonna be through a paycheck, the money they paid her to come out and tell her story. I believe that it's also gonna be like a deal or something. She'll probably be doing her own podcast or on some other podcast that an affiliate, if not Tidal in itself, if not Rock Nation in itself, an affiliate of theirs, right? Maybe a partner company or a baby company of theirs, she's going to be working on it. Give me you guys' thoughts. Have a good night.